Good afternoon. I'm CD Davidsmeyer. I represent the 100th District in West Central Illinois, which is all or part of 10 counties. I also am the Republican spokesperson on the House Public Utilities Committee. As we discussed last week, Illinois is struggling with an energy crisis. Prices and demand are spiking. The state is facing a significant decrease in energy generation. At the same time, demand is increasing. Due to misguided public policy, as well as economic market factors, Illinois' power generation capacity has taken a significant hit. Under current law, all electricity generation must be from zero emission sources by 2045. We have literally tied our hands in the near future. Prices have skyrocketed in downstate MISO grid for Ameren service territory. The most recent Ameren MISO auction for the summer months resulted in capacity prices that are over 2,000% higher than last summer's prices. And just last summer, PJM went up 800%. They're seeing increases for the entire year in the PJM territory. Capacity prices for MISO territory jumped to $666.50 per megawatt day from just $30 last summer. As a result of the increase in summer capacity charges, Ameren Illinois' supply price will increase by roughly 50% from around 8 cents per kilowatt hour to around 12 cents per kilowatt hour. This will result in approximately 18 to 22% total bill increase in the Ameren territory. The MISO capacity auction results highlight the continuing energy challenges facing downstate Illinois. The state isn't bringing renewable energy online quick enough. Illinois is behind on its goals for renewable generation. The Democrats want to keep blaming this on the regional grid operators of MISO and PJM, but the reality is that high price that we're seeing in the capacity markets is signaling to us that we need more reliable generation. Clearly, Illinois' current energy policy and infrastructure are failing to meet the huge demand for reliable power at a reasonable price. As a result, Illinois families are getting slammed with higher power bills and reduced reliability. Earlier this afternoon, the same environmental special interests and progressive lawmakers responsible for causing these failed energy policies held a rally for their so-called Clean and Reliable Grid Affordability Act. According to these environmentalists, this bill will accelerate Illinois' clean energy progress while protecting consumers amidst a rise in energy demand. Sorry, but we are not buying what you're selling. Your radical environmental policies have crippled our power generation capacity, directly leading to energy cost crisis that we are facing today. Illinois needs to go back to the drawing board to change our failing energy policies. The last people we should be looking to for policy solutions are those that created this crisis, intentionally shutting down our fossil fuel plants and crippling our generation capacity. Again, I must ask Governor Pritzker and the majority party in the legislature, where is your plan to maintain a reliable and affordable energy grid for Illinois families and businesses? Because the proposed CRGA, we'll call it SERGA, is terrible energy omnibus bill, will only make Illinois energy cost crisis worse. It's time to put the interests of hardworking Illinoisans ahead of these clean energy fantasies.
Thanks. I'm State Representative Travis Weaver, and I represent Central Illinois in the 93rd District. We're here today because Illinois is on the brink of an energy crisis, a crisis driven by bad policies from the Pritzker administration. Since the governor's election in 2018, Illinois has fallen 9 places from 27th to 36th in energy affordability. That means every year since his election, one, sometimes 2 states leapfrog right over Illinois in competitiveness and energy affordability. Decades of energy investment simply erased. Illinois families and businesses will feel the brunt of electric rate increases in the coming months and years unless smart policies are enacted. The most recent data from Ameren is not good. Costs to grocery stores, school districts, manufacturers, and other businesses are projected to skyrocket, some doubling or even tripling over the next decade. Energy-intensive manufacturers can expect to experience as much as a $3 million rise in their energy costs. Without a fix, this sends a clear message from the governor. Manufacturing companies are not welcome here. The Pritzker administration has touted renewable energy sources, but traditional energy is handcuffed, and costs are becoming unaffordable, clearly. Illinois leads the nation in nuclear generation, but much of our infrastructure lies underused or shuttered. Power plants across the state have been shut down, with over 3,500 megawatts of capacity gone under the current administration. That's enough power to provide electricity for 750,000 homes. 750,000 homes vanished. That's a staggering decline in supply, intentionally. Our failing energy policies are a direct result of irresponsible planning and have caused our power rates to increase faster than all of our Midwestern neighbors, and everyday citizens are on the hook. House Republicans have a full slate of proposals ready to right the ship as we enter the last few days of our legislative session. Let's remember, bad policy brought us here, only smart policy can get us out. Thanks.
Well, good afternoon. Thank you all for being here. My name is State Representative Ryan Spain. I represent the 73rd District. The reason we're here today in the final days of session is to urge our colleagues in both the House and the Senate to say no, to vote no to the J.B. Pritzker power plan. This is part 2 of J.B. Pritzker's power plan, and the first version of it didn't go well. And we believe very strongly that the second version of it will not go well either. Hundreds of pages of legislative texts were dropped over the weekend, I think some 600 pages that we've been reviewing. And the bottom line is that the Pritzker power plan is bad for job creators, bad for families, bad for taxpayers and ratepayers. So let's talk about why. Number one, for job creators, the legislative text that was introduced as part of SURJA and was just discussed outside of the Capitol with a real sense of audacity that I found to be incredible, requires large developments to bring your own power. And while the environmental advocates describe this as a way to curb the proliferation of data centers, the fact is that the requirements of bringing your own power will not just affect data centers, which are important investments for great jobs in communities throughout the state, but they'll affect typical manufacturing plants as well, providing an even more chilling impact on economic development in the state of Illinois. So the requirement for large new power users would be that if you cannot bring your own power and you exceed a usage of 25 megawatts, you will then be penalized and pay a 6x pricing increase. Again, further chilling the economic development opportunities in a state that is already lagging behind all of our neighbors and consistently performs poorly in economic development. So that's the first part on job creators. Number two is the impact on families. Residential customers will have already been suffering under the poor energy policies of Governor J.B. Pritzker. And as we show you here, it's about to get worse, especially for the summer for folks living downstate, but in all parts of the state. Recent capacity auctions have shown us that our poor energy policies, stifling power generation, are translating into huge price spikes for families across the state of Illinois. What does this bill do for families? Well, two things. It puts some very comforting language mandates in everyone's monthly power bill that says, your bill has increased this month due to increased capacity prices resulting from MISO and PGM auctions. Clear? I think that will be of great comfort to all of our constituents who are paying at least 20% more on their energy bills throughout the summer. This legislation, as drafted, also creates the enablement of residential surge pricing for power usage. Imagine now that we're going to have governmental price controls and time constraints applied to your home for residential surge pricing. It's a terrible idea. The final impact, though, is what hits on ratepayers and taxpayers throughout the state of Illinois. Because at its core, among many other different things in this energy package, is battery storage, is one of the critical issues that advocates say they are bringing forward. This legislation requires 9 gigawatts in required procurement for energy storage through batteries. 9 gigawatts may be a hard number to get your arms around, but $15 billion in cost to ratepayers may be something that could resonate with you a little bit more. This is a terrible policy. If Illinois wants to be a leader in battery storage, we should do what the state of Texas does, which is allow for generation to take place, for economic development to be successful. And in the state of Texas, which is the second largest state for battery storage in the country, they offer absolutely zero state incentives to facilitate the investment in battery storage. If we could have a state that really thought about economic growth and helping our hardworking families and job creators, we could see the same type of results. So I hope that colleagues in the Illinois General Assembly will join business leaders, labor leaders, common sense folks across the state and oppose the J.B. Pritzker power plan. We're happy to take your questions.
I take it you're not at the table very much on negotiations for this?
We have not. My understanding is that there have been ongoing discussions. Most of this bill was created by the environmental groups themselves. My understanding is that the discussions that the public utilities and the generators, energy generators, had over the last 7 months have been all but ignored. Instead, going with just whatever the environmentalists want to do, which it's putting philosophy majors in charge of energy policy, and it's not a good way to go when you're talking politics versus science.
And you said huge demands. There's been a lot of around this, a lot of references to the rise of energy demand and everything. Is there any way to quantify since when did this demand start, and what is all this a rise in energy demand mean? Does it mean more data centers, or just more to say on where this is coming from?
Yeah, I think despite all the efficiency programs that we've put in through energy policy, the reality is that as technology grows, all of the demand grows. And we want to see the demand grow in the state of Illinois, because that means that there's more opportunity for people in the state of Illinois. But the proposed language in this bill actually stifles that growth by saying you can come to Illinois, but you have to either bring your own energy with you. We're not going to provide it for you. You have to bring your own, or you can come here and you pay 6 times what everyone else is going to pay for energy. That's not very inviting to new businesses and new opportunity.
And I heard that there's also a nuclear proposal out there. And do you all support that part of this, a possible omnibus?
Yeah, I think the reality of that is lifting the moratorium on nuclear is great, but with all the other things in this bill, that will never happen. Even if you lift the moratorium, all the other things will stifle the development of even energy generation in the state of Illinois. So you can say we're lifting that moratorium, but if you have policies that don't encourage that investment, it's never going to happen, and it won't happen here unless this language changes.
So if the language doesn't change, but they're putting in an omnibus bill with the nuclear removal of the moratorium, would you still support the omnibus bill or no?
There is no way we can support this. I mean, this is a guaranteed increase in cost for every single person in the state of Illinois. We cannot continue down this path. We have to provide reliable energy generation, not the green fantasies that are being sold by some of these environmental groups.
Are municipal power companies any more insulated from any of this?
Some of the ones that have their own generation, I would say maybe a little bit, because they actually plan. The state of Illinois doesn't have a plan of action, right? These municipal governments have been able to make some of their own future planning and put some of that in place, so it can be a little bit insulating, but only because they've done some of their own planning.
So you mentioned the bring your own energy policies. How should the state, I guess, properly balance that demand and, you know, this demand for energy that the data centers are creating, but also incentivizing those businesses to come to this state?
You have to have an environment for economic growth. You can't offer incentives for data centers and then 2 years later turn around and say, no, we want to penalize data centers. We require data centers to now bring their own power. And again, not just data centers, but all sorts of manufacturing opportunities that could be a lifeblood for a small town providing hundreds of jobs throughout the state of Illinois. I mean, our policies are in contradiction with each other, and we're letting the people who authored those policies come forward with another audacious plan to increase costs while we're about to hit the summer of highest costs that we've ever seen. So if we want to continue to be interested in data centers, we need to be able to have the power generation to support them. And so the question about, you know, it's fine to lift the nuclear ban, but it's a hollow gesture because no one is going to invest in building a new nuclear plant or expanding on an existing one when the very sort of customers that they would be interested in providing power for are ineligible to receive power from the nuclear facilities. And so this bring your own has massive implications that, again, is going to take a bad environment that we have for economic growth and make it infinitely worse. That's why labor's against it, and that's why business is against it.
Yeah, do you feel like that opposition might somehow get that taken out of this package in the coming days?
I don't think that we should be pursuing this energy package at all right now. I think it should be scrapped entirely. I think the timing is disastrous with what we're facing for pricing increases throughout the summer. So we need to go back to the drawing board and think about how we're actually going to fix the generation deficit that we've talked about here and move forward in a way that will actually attract investment to the state of Illinois.
And let me just say really quick, the one thing that the state of Illinois needs is a plan, right? We need a plan for the future. Right now, we're flying by the seat of our pants on energy, hoping that it's there when we flip the switch. We need a plan, and we need investment in infrastructure to make sure that we can plug in what little wind and solar that we have. We need a plan to be able to plug that into the system. That wasn't very well thought out when the original policy came through, but we need a plan.
All right, thanks.